All right, guys, it's official. We got a rain larger than 1/10 of an inch for the first time in 43 days yesterday. We got a grand total of 2/10 of an inch. So. So that officially brings us to a little over a 1/2 inch received in the last 43 days when we got our last decent rain, which was on July 1st. We got 4/10 of an inch then. Very grateful for that 2/10 of an inch. It does help some. However, it only goes so far, and now that that rain's out, we've got another heat dome coming in, predicted to get 98, 99 degree days for the next 6 days after today, and it's just going to further do damage. Our corn's done, our corn's toast. If we were to happen to get a rain today, there's only a few spots in the fields it would actually help, because all our corn is fired all the way up, except in our very deepest bottom soils. Our milk line on the kernel is about halfway to 2/3 of the way down. So our corn is quickly going to reach black layer, but it's not going to be filled all the way out. I've done a lot of checking of crops over the last 2 days. Andy and Kelly have been spraying cotton, making another trip for plant bugs. I've been scouting a lot of pigweeds, been scouting a lot of crops. And our corn crop, we've got the kernel count out there. We've got some nice size ears, a lot of kernels on them. You know, we got 16 to 18 around, 40 long on a lot of our corn. The kernels are decent size too. We've got the kernel count to have a really good corn crop. However, we're not going to have the kernel weight to have a very good corn crop. So I have absolutely no idea what our corn's going to yield. There's going to be some good spots of corn out there, don't get me wrong, and then there's going to be some really, really bad spots of corn out there, because in some places the corn plant is completely dead, hasn't reached black layer, half milk line. Going to be some really light kernels, but also it's going to take a long time for that corn to dry down to be harvested, because it didn't mature naturally. It didn't fill all the kernel with starch, pushing that moisture out, so all that moisture has to evaporate, and it's going to take a very long time to do that. So, but overall, considering what we've gone through this year, massive flooding on the front end, right now the second longest drought that we've ever gone through on the back end. I cannot believe how good our crops look. We're going to have below average crops across the board, but considering what they've gone through, they look really good. And looking back on my records, the last time we went through a drought this long was in 2007. The timing was about the same, came on after the corn tasseled, and it was a late drought. But anyway, that year we averaged 470 pounds per acre of cotton, 107 bushels per acre of corn, 59 bushels per acre milo, 18 bushels per acre full season soybeans, and then 7 bushels per acre double crop soybeans. Now we're going to do better than that this year. There's no doubt about that. Even if it doesn't rain the rest of the year, I think we're going to do better than that. I know we're going to do better than that on corn. Cotton, we definitely should do better than that, because we actually got some pretty dang good looking cotton. We got some cotton that's not so hot, but a good bit of our cotton looks pretty dang good if we can happen to get a rain. Soybeans is kind of iffy. We've got our full season beans are absolutely loaded up. We've got a massive pod load on them, but all the pods are flat. There's no beans have started growing in them. So if we don't get any rain, they could be the kicker. And then our double crop soybeans, a lot of our double crop soybeans haven't even gotten tall enough that we could even get it in the header if we can harvest them. So anyway, that's the status of the crop. Our soil health practices are definitely paying off, because our crops look way better than they did in 2007 with a very similar drought pattern. So if we can remain in business, it shows me we need to keep on the road. Eventually, we're going to get there. Every year that we do our soil health practices is just going to give us an extra layer of drought protection or any kind of protection when we get into extreme weather circumstances. We're not there yet, but my hope is that we'll be able to get there at some point in time to where if we go through this again, I really don't have to worry about my crops. All right, so let's talk about the other kick in the pants that came out the day before yesterday. The August USDA report came out, and there really wasn't any surprises, except the only surprise is how much they raised the national corn yield out there. They raised it by, I think, a whopping 4 bushels per acre to 188.8 bushels per acre is what the USDA estimated the corn crop at. Now, that's not actual looking at any fields and measuring yield. That's based primarily on NDVI satellite imagery, which shows just massive crop growth. And if you've been following the weather, all throughout the Midwest and a lot of other places, they've been getting record rainfalls this year, which leads to really, really green crops. However, that doesn't necessarily lead to massive yields. There are a lot of issues with the corn crop nationwide. It's not going to be as good as what the USDA is predicting. There's been a bunch of problems with tassel wrap and poor pollination up in the Midwest. Also, the Midwest has had their share of hot weather this summer with high nighttime temperatures. In a lot of areas, there's problems with tip back. And then when you get that massive amounts of rainfall, that's also not great for growing high yielding crops. Too much rain is not a good thing. So there's fertilizer loss, there's leaching, there's drowned out areas in the fields. So there's going to be issues with the corn crop across the U.S. Now, don't get me wrong, it's still going to be a very good crop, but it's not going to be 188 bushels per acre good. And eventually the truth will come out on this corn crop. Now, what happened to the markets in the wake of that USDA report? Well, markets did drop some that day. Corn markets did drop some. But yesterday, markets actually were up a few cents. So what that's telling me is that these traders have already got an absolutely massive corn crop figured in, even though the USDA found about 1 billion extra bushels than what the average trade report was expecting. So normally you would think finding 1 billion extra bushels, we would probably see markets limit down for at least a few days, but we didn't see that. So the traders are telling us that this massive corn crop is already penciled in. So any reduction in the actual yield is most likely going to drive prices up. Now, have we seen a low in the corn market? Probably not. And we're probably going to continue to see depressed prices at least throughout harvest. However, I think when harvest gets here, we start getting some actual harvest reports, there in October and stuff. I think we're probably going to see the market rise up a little bit. However, I don't think we're going to see a massive correction in the corn market until probably that February, March time frame, whenever the USDA puts out their true final numbers for the yield. And then I think we could see a really massive correction then. So what's my plan on corn marketing? Corn right there, $4 or sub $4 in a lot of places. There's no profit to be had there unless you got absolutely record yields. So my advice is don't sell your corn right now. If you have grain storage, like we've got, that's absolutely the best case scenario. Put your crop in the bin and wait to sell it. What we do with our storage facilities, we put it all in there, we dry it down to the perfect moisture level, and then we'll start delivering our corn in December, and normally that's when we sell it. Most of it's already been forward contracted. Now, we do have a little bit of corn forward contracted for around $5, but price has been declining pretty much all year. So what am I going to do with the rest of my corn crop? Well, like I said, if you got storage, let's put it in the bins and sell it when the price finally gets up there. Probably be next spring, but that would be the ideal scenario if you've got the financial reserves to hold on to it that long and you can pay your bills until then. But in my case, we don't have those financial reserves, so we're going to sell our corn crop at some point. So what we're going to do is basically the same thing that we did last year. We're going to hold on to our corn until December. We don't want to completely screw up our tax situation, so we're going to need some income in this year. So we're going to deliver our corn in December. We're going to have the basis already set. But the thing is, even though we're going to deliver our corn, we're not going to actually sell our corn. we're going to go ahead and sell it on a basis contract, but we're not going to lock in the futures price until a later point. So I know in this area, and I would assume in most places across the U.S., what you can do, you can deliver your corn on a basis contract, and then you can lock in the futures at a later point, but these granaries will pay you in advance of what the current price is, typically around 70% of what the current price is. So we're going to deliver our corn in December on the basis. We're going to take 70% advance on what the current market price is, which is going to give us some income for this year to pay bills, pay landlords, and so on. And then whenever the futures price gets up at the levels of where I think we can make some profit, then we will sell the rest of it then. Now, that's not without its downsides, because we're delivering it on December futures, and then most likely we're going to have to roll that contract to the March futures, and we're going to have to pay and then we're going to have to pay the spread between December and March. However, if corn is $4, we got to pay 15. Say the spread is 15 cents. We got to pay 15 cents per bushel to roll it to March. If corn goes from $4 to $5, that's going to net us 85 cents more per bushel by doing it that way, and that's kind of what I think is going to happen. So if you're looking for some low risk marketing strategies, that could work. You can also buy some option contracts. However, those can be those can definitely be more risky. So anyway, that's what we're going to do. I'm not telling you that's what you need to do. I'm not certified to give that advice, and that advice is only as good as for what you paid for it, which is absolutely zero. But if that interests you, I think that could be a viable solution to us trying to squeeze out as much profit as we can from this year's corn crop. All right, now that we're done spraying cotton, that's probably not going to be the last spraying cotton we're going to have to do. I'm assuming we're probably going to have to do possibly one more insecticide spray here in August. But the crop management is just about done. So from here on out till we start harvest, it's going to be primarily shop work. I was hoping to get our cotton picker in here, but I decided we got a couple other projects we need to tackle first. One of them is going to be this disc. You remember when we were plowing up the cell tower farm last year, our outside wheel hit a washout and broke off the spindle. So we got a new spindle already in, and Annie's at Napa getting a set of bearings to go in there so we can get that thing back going up. And then once we get this fixed, we got one more project before we get our cotton picker in here. We've done on this thing the last few years, thousands of dollars. I mean, I probably spent $60,000 on this thing since we bought it. I think we got it in really dang good shape, and we just got a few minor things to do. I think we got a couple of hydraulic hoses that are starting to get cracked, some electrical connections where the insulation's starting to come off the wire. I think some bushings and stuff. But the two biggest things we need to do is we need to pull all the doffers out. Acre, the Crop Critic's been gracious enough to offer to grind the doffers down for free. And you take them to John Deere, they tend to charge a lot, and they get really, really aggressive with the grinding, and the doffers don't last as long. So I'm gonna make a trip to Middle Tennessee tomorrow if we can get these doffers pulled out today. And then the other biggest thing is going to be, remember from harvest last year, that radiator door fell off, and I think we just kind of jerry-rigged it and get it fixed properly this year. I don't exactly remember where it broke.
I think, wasn't it this one out here?
Yeah, I think that bottom pin or whatever. Yeah, I think we just got like a bolt just dropped in there. But anyway, first order of business is going to be let's get these doffers out. That's not the easiest thing in the world. We'll go ahead and get all of our doors off the header here. And then these are the doffers right here. We got the front and the back we need to pull out. Honestly, the backs don't feel too bad. The fronts definitely need grinding. I don't know, we might just, no, we'll check the other 6 back ones, but they don't feel bad at all. All right, Andy, how we get these doffer columns out? First thing, we got 3 bolts right here around the top we've got to take out. And then up here in the bottom, we got 2 sets of 3 bolts. You don't take the outside ones out because that is just your doffer tilt, and we don't want to mess with that. But the 3 inner ones, that's what we take out to get that bottom bearing cap off, and then the whole stack ought to come out. All right, let's try and work it out. All right.
I guess you just need to take the bolts out, don't you?
Well, shouldn't have to. I mean, the cap comes off this side of slide on up out of there. All right, 1 out of 12 down. All right, we got all 12 of them out. I tell you one thing, when Delta Spindle works on your cotton picker, you ain't gotta worry about stuff coming loose. Boy, I got those bolts tight on those doffers. We rounded several nuts off, and we said a few dirty words at Jacob, who was part of the crew that put them on. But anyway, we got them all off. We're gonna head down to Elora first thing in the morning. Let Eric get them ground down for us, save us some money. So finish out the day today and check and make sure our batteries are okay. We've had a battery charger on there for about the last 5 hours, so we'll get my battery tester and make sure they test all right. All right, it was kind of down here, but we just got all of our batteries disconnected from each other so we can test them individually. We got our Solar digital battery tester. Let me tell you, if you ain't got one of these, get you one. They've actually found bad batteries that load tested good, but we kept on having problems with them. Got this thing and they tested bad. So let's go through the steps here. Got 1,000 cold cranking amps on this battery is what it's rated for, and it's telling me I need to charge the battery some more. All right, this is showing more. This is the one the battery charger just came off of, and it's saying they charge some more. So I'm assuming the third one's going to need to charge some more. So we'll just we'll revisit this Monday. I'll charge them up good this weekend. Well, guys, that's going to do it for today. I didn't had enough of this heat. I didn't had enough sweating. Good gosh, I mean, you can't, when your hands are so wet, you can't hold on to nothing, and you can't see nothing because sweat's just dripping in your eyes. Tell you what, even here in the shade in the shop, this heat dome is just arrived today. I think high got up to 96 a day. Tomorrow's Saturday, and then Sunday, I think they calling for like a high of 98, 99. I think it's supposed to persist till next Tuesday, when I think we got another slight chance of rain, and it's supposed to cool down again. So now we're officially 45 days since our last good rain of 4/10 of an inch on July 1st. That 2/10 of an inch that we got a couple days ago, it is long gone. Things are back to burning up again. And I think that the next few days with this heat dome is going to be the final nail in the coffin on some of our crops. Even if we do get a rain, it's going to be mighty hard for them to recover after that. So anyway, I'll bring you back tomorrow when we get headed over to Middle Tennessee. All right, it looks like we got a 3 hour and 45 minute drive. Be a little bit quicker, go all the way down I-40, but I absolutely despise driving on I-40, and I will avoid it at all costs, even if it takes me an extra 30 minutes. But I know going that route, but I know going this route going to be a whole lot more scenic, a whole lot more enjoyable. All right, so guys, I'm not going to bore you with a long drive, so let me snap my fingers and be there just like that. And just like that, we're here. All right, let's see if we can go find the Crop Critic. He told me to pull around back. All right, we found Eric, and he's got and he got his doffer grinding machine out. So Eric, tell us what we're trying to do here today.
Yeah, so basically these doffers, when you set them up, no matter whether you put new pads on or like Matt's took his out and we're gonna regrind them, what happens is the bottom majority of your spindles do most of the picking, and most of the time your top's freewheeling most of the time. Well, what happens is these start wearing faster than the top. The second thing is if you look real close right here, you lose this sharp edge. See how that starts rounding off right here?
Yep.
Well, that's what helps knock it off super quick, and that's where, like if you go to a deer dealer or whatever, most of the time they won't grind it enough to get past this knurling right here, and you're kind of defeating the purpose. Matt knows it's aggravating taking these things out and putting them back in. It's the job.
We had a custom fit yesterday.
And if you're gonna take them out and do them right, take the time to grind them right, because this is basically a lathe. It's kind of set up like a lathe. The truants between all of these are exactly the same, and it's just got like a 36 grit sanding pad on it. And these doffer grinders are high if you buy them new. They're like 15 grand now. And I just happened to be in.
I was going to ask you about that, because this is the one cotton picker tool I ain't got.
I just happened to be in the right place at the right time, and I'll tell you what happened. I was pulling into my local deer dealer, and I pulled around back, and they had a tow motor run through it right here, and was just about to dump it over into the dump truck. And I stuck my hand on the window and hollered, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, stop!" And I said, "What are y'all doing?" They said, "We're going to throw it away. The motor's burned up." I said, "Set that on the ground right after I told make one phone call." And I called the guy that owned Tri-Green. I was like, "Man, would you sell me that thing?" He said, "Well, what would you get for it?" I said, "I don't know, $500. He said, "It's yours, load it up." So we loaded it up, brought it home, put a motor on it, and there's nothing wrong with it. The motor's just burned up. So, you know, that's how come we acquired one. We wouldn't have one otherwise, because they're so expensive. But between me and my brother-in-law, and there's several other cotton farmers in the area, and I don't charge anything for grinding, simply because I'm a one-man operation. I may break my back or my leg one fall, and I may need some help. So I'm always like, look, you might just have to pay me back one day, and I'll leave it at that. But I enjoy it. It gives me time to visit with people just like Matt. I mean, otherwise Matt would have made the trip out. So, I mean, we've sat here and talked about a MacDon header for 35 minutes and how to set it up and things that I didn't know. So just stuff like that. But
it's been a while since I got in John Deere to grind them. Normally Delta Spindle did. I can't remember what they charged, but to grind all 12 doffers, I mean, it's gonna be what, $500 plus dollars?
Yeah, and I bet it's more than that now.
Probably so. And
it depends on how far they got to take them down.
And the other thing that I've encountered is that a lot of people, they get way too aggressive grinding them, and then they grind them about halfway down.
Yep.
And they tell me,
and we're not that way.
Yeah, they tell me, I need some new doffers. Well, these doffer pads are freaking
they're expensive. They're expensive, and the way things are right now, I mean, just like me and Matt's been discussing, if we don't use our heads through this thing, we're not going to be here. I mean, it's simple as that. And something as simple as the way you grind your doffers, I mean, it makes a big difference. Now, I know John Deere, I want to say they used to charge like $60 an hour for grinding, and then they charged you like a setup fee or something. I mean, it was something crazy, but
it ain't no $60 an hour now.
Yeah,
ain't nobody worked for $60.
Yeah, I know it. That was the last time I had looked, but yeah, that's the thing. And we're not so much worried about this old crap in the center here. We're just worried about this knob right here. And sometimes, if you look, let's say you look at this one right here, you can see how it's got grooves wore in it. And what we want to do is we'll show you when we get done, but we're going to take all these grooves out, and we're going to get this sharp edge back on here.
Well, those grooves is coming from rubbing on the spindles, because towards the end of last year, you can see they're starting to get rounded. I started having a few spindles starting to wrap up, and I had to set them a little bit tighter, and on where the ones where you don't have a lot of wear, that's where we start getting the grooves.
And I promise you, if you do this step right here, if you grind these doffers, we always take a Sharpie and we'll mark through the center of our doffer adjustment. And every 2 days, we'll turn it a quarter turn. And it makes setting your doffers so easy, because every 2 days, you'll just turn it a quarter turn, and you never had wrapping issues. You never have to touch them. It just works good. And that was funny. The guy that brought the Dolphins Monday, last year I was out of town on vacation when he wanted me to grind them, and he took them to John Deere to get them ground. And he called me. He's like, man, please, can you grind them for me? I said, yeah, I can grind them. He's like, man, I took them there last year, and we had so much wrapping issues and so many problems with spindles wrapping. He said, I'm 100% certain it's because they didn't get them ground right.
Yeah.
I mean, if you do it right, it makes picking so much easier. But
now last year, Delta Spindle actually came and took all my Dolphins out and ground them. And used to, I could get about 2 seasons worth between grindings, but we're planting a little over 500 acres of cotton every year. And I found out when I try to get that second year out of a set of Dolphins, I really have a lot of wrapping issues at the end of the year, and that will actually wind up wearing your Dolphins out quicker than having them ground every year.
It wears your bushings.
Yeah, because you got to put more pressure.
That little lock on the end there, it'll actually wear that loose because you're putting so much pressure on there trying to get it to clean off.
Yeah.
It's hard on your bushings. It's hard on your bearings inside the shaft part.
Yeah.
We've learned that lesson the hard way. Now, my brother-in-law used to never grind them. He would put a new set stacked and put it in the picker.
Without grinding?
Without grinding. That's the way. When I got this grinder, things changed. Now he comes over here every year and grinds his Dolphins, and I showed him how to do the first one. I saw him do it himself, but now he does it every year and realizes, hey, we should have been doing it a long time.
Yeah.
And we do this one, you know, sometimes we'll grow 200 acres cotton, sometimes 500, somewhere 7, sometimes 1,800. We'll grind them every year, regardless. It's like you said, you'll end up paying for it the second year.
Yeah.
Take the time, pop them out, and that's what anybody that's come through this shop with Dolphins, they do it now.
Yeah.
I'm not good. If you'll pop them out every year and get them ground, you won't have that issue.
Yeah.
And every time they come back, man, you're right, should have ground them.
Yeah.
You know. But
and we really debated this year taking my rear set out, because my rear set has still got a pretty sharp edge on it. But I figure if we're going to do it, we're going to do it. And
it'll make, I'm telling you, it'll make such a huge difference in you not getting out of that cab.
Yeah.
And see, the thing, you don't realize it, but every time you pop out of that cab, you're going to kill about 5 minutes.
At least.
At least. Digging around or scratching around or unchoking or something. The more you can set in that cab. That's why we went to these roller pickers. Because they're so efficient.
Yeah.
Let's make them efficient. And this little old stuff, I mean, we hardly ever have to get out of the cabs. I don't want to get out of the cab on 30-inch roads, because you got to roll them freaking heads out. And I want to stay in that cab. But yeah, we'll show you how we grind them. But yeah, this is the part I hate right here. This stuff gets everywhere. All right, you can see how these are already touching down here. See how far off we are here? You can see a gap between there.
Yeah.
Now we're just gonna slowly bring them over. Now we're touching up here. And I will tell you, some of these Dolphins, some of these manufacturers, some of them are harder than others. Yeah. I don't know why, but some of them are. And you take some old Dolphins, like 3 or 4 or 5 years old, you're talking about hard to cut.
Yeah.
All right, you can see how we got this sharp edge right here. That's what we're after, this sharp edge right here on the back.
This is going to be I thought you looking at the leading edge.
Is this the leading edge?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you can see we've got just a little bit of knurling left right there, but not much, very little. But yeah, you can see how these edges are sharp. That's what you're after.
That's good and sharp, but because it's still rounded a little bit right there, that's going to quickly wear unless we get rid of all that.
Yeah, you want to get rid of that knurling. You can see about maybe another quarter maybe.
Yep.
But you've got plenty of pad left up here. I mean, there's miles of pad.
Yeah, now these right here, these are in good shape.
Yeah.
But because the spindles are evenly spaced, we got to get these down here.
That's what I failed to mention. When you're dealing with these Dolphins passing under those spindles, everything was Deer wants it within 8 thousandths.
I gauge my bars to at least 5,000.
I put mine at 4.
Yeah.
And that's that. You're talking about the thickness of a dollar bill.
Yeah.
Passing between two each. That's why it's so important to put these in this machine, true them up. It's so important, and you'll be amazed at the people that don't do this. There's a lot, and it's a lot of due to pure laziness. But I mean, we're not putting a lot of pressure on here. I mean, you can see. I mean, we're really right there. I mean,
we're really close.
It's whatever you want to do, Matt. It's up to you. You tell me yay or nay. I'm working for you right now.
I say
A little more?
I say this fence one right here, we need just a little bit more.
Okay.
The rest of them look good. We're really close.
Like I said, I'm working for you right now.
Yeah.
And y'all can see this material coming off here. What's this made out of, Matt? I can't remember.
Some kind of poly.
Yeah, some kind of poly, something other. But y'all can see it's kind of like sawdust, but it's real rubbery. Like, I mean, it's a hard, dense kind of rubber. But
it's about the most expensive poly you ever gonna buy.
yeah, how
right
much
there.
is pads now? I hadn't bought any in a while.
Shoot, I don't know. I mean, it's probably $500 worth of pads on one stack.
Yeah. Yeah, it's,
You know, probably $30 a pad or so.
it's ridiculous what this stuff costs now. All right, Paulo, take her out.
All right, we got 11 more to go. We're gonna see how quickly we can get these things knocked out. All right, didn't take long at all. We got them all ground down and they look good.
Yeah, they all turned out real good. I mean, we only had a couple that was kind of borderline rough, but we ground enough of them out to where you can get the rest of the life out of the Dolphin. And like me and Matt was discussing, even the ones that are wore down are a good bit. If you come back and grind them again, there's probably 2 more years worth of life left on them, on the worst ones.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, where people so screw up is they don't keep them in check. Because now you're starting with a clean slate.
Yeah.
But if say you start the crop and them already out of whack and whatever, your picker's gonna pick mean, you're gonna over adjust them. You're gonna put pressure on your bars, pressure on your bushes. You're gonna make your machine work twice as hard. You're gonna get up and down that ladder 3 times as much. And you're gonna leave some cotton laying on the ground or on stalk, one of the two.
Yeah. Just give you an idea how much we had to take off. That's a pretty big pile, some expensive poly.
Yeah, that's a lot of material. I mean, a lot of material.
Like I said, those were ground last year. It ain't like they had multiple years on them, but there's a couple of them where I had a choke up and it really warmed
Yeah, and
down.
if you look real close, you can see how these are white and these are brown. What it is these are older, and what happens is the grease, the heat, they get hard.
Yeah.
And these are very hard to cut, and you know, they still work just as fine. It don't matter. I mean, like I told Matt before, I found there's several different companies that make these things. Some of them you can cut like butter. Some of them are hard as a pecan tree, you know.
Yeah.
So, but
yeah, those darker ones are the ones off the rear, whereas the lighter colored ones, I think they were brand new. I think they were brand new 2 years ago. So.
But you can, like, I mean, Matt's gonna do it. He's gonna put the better ones up front, the worst ones in the back. The reason you do that is the front drum does 80% of the picking.
I don't know about you. The way I adjust mine is I adjust them down to where I'm wiggling the Dolphin back and forth. I can feel just a hint of drag.
That's
on
what
it.
me and David went to the John Deere cotton picker school.
Yeah.
And that's what, you reach in there and you shake that Dolphin back and forth while you're tightening that wrench.
Yeah.
And when you feel that snugness on that spin stop, you don't want it really hound it, but you want to still be able to shake that doffer.
Yeah, because if you over adjust them, that will actually round off the doffers worse than under
It'll round them off, and like I said, you'll wear your bushings out in your bars, and we got that explained to us.
And with 3,360 spindles and twice that many bushings in there, that ain't something you want to wear out.
And you know, that's another thing too, is, you know, me and David, we've grown cotton all of our lives. We've been around cotton all of our lives. And, you know, when we got the opportunity to go to that school, we was like, man, we ain't gonna learn nothing, you know? And boy, was we wrong. I mean, if they ever hold one of them in your area, you need to go to it. Because we picked up several tricks and secrets out of that we did not know. We were doing stuff wrong. I mean, and that was back from, you know, when we was doing stuff in the 90s versus now.
Well, maybe one of these years we'll be able to have one of those new CPs where they got the clickers on the doffer adjustment.
Nice.
Those will be real nice.
Yeah, those are the nice design to adjust your doffers with, but there won't be no CPs around here, I can tell you that. A guy walked in here this week, tried to buy that cotton picker, and I said, no, it ain't for sale. Well, yeah, I got money. No, it's not for sale. If I traded that machine's been paid for 5 crops now. If I would have traded that machine for brand new today, it's gonna make the exact same roll as that one's gonna make, but it's gonna have a $150,000 cotton picker payment. Plus interest.
Well, not only that, you've got a pre-def machine and one that doesn't have the variable speed engine fan on it, which is problematic, ain't it?
Yeah,
I think you had the last year before they put those variable speed engines.
And that's why me and my brother-in-law both made sure that we bought that model. And that's why we done it. And John Deere's got a problem with def headers, whether they want to admit it or not. There's too many of them going out. My brother-in-law's had 2 go out on his sprayer already in 1 year. And I've had 1 go out. I
had 2 go out on my sprayer two years ago.
He drove plumb to Ohio to get one. And then he got there and they acted like they didn't want to sell it to him. And then he had to get the dealer to call back up there to make him sell it to him. I mean, but, you know, that's crazy. But
well, maybe we're getting to the end of that, because I read where the new Trump EPA is getting to where all of our equipment, telling the manufacturers that they need to come up with a solution that our equipment doesn't derate when we have problems with def.
I think he's going to free up some of that stuff. I really do. And that is a problem. I mean,
you got a perfectly fine machine, because of some stupid sensor, it ain't going to work.
That black Ford truck of mine back this time last year derated, and the DEF filter was stopped up, and the new DEF filter was $7,800 for that Ford truck. And I found a place in Huntsville that cleans them. I took mine down there and they tested it, and it was broken on the inside, and they sold me a remanufactured one. I think it was like $3,000, and it's on the truck running fine. But a stupid DPF filter shut that truck down. And I'm telling you, it wouldn't run over 10 miles an hour. It just, stuff like that drives me bonkers when you're trying to make a living.
I know. A few years ago, we were 2 days away from being completely done with harvest. Had a storm system bearing down on us, and the DEF pump went out on my grain buggy tractor. We could barely limp it up to the front of the field.
I know.
I mean, it's absolutely insane.
But yeah, I'm glad Matt bought these things here. I mean, like I said, I value his friendship every single year, bringing them out here, and I mean. Well,
considering you ain't got no cotton this year, we didn't want you to get out of practice on grinding doffers.
There'll be many more. I'm sure my brother-in-law's fixing to start on his too next week, so there'll be many more to come. And like I said, I enjoy people coming here and visiting and getting to grind doffers for people, and you know, I value a man's friendship more than any money, I can tell you that.
Well, I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. I don't know. I know it probably saved me at least $500, if not more dollars. And right now, man, I need every penny I can get.
You're exactly right. I'm telling you, if we're not smart through this, nobody is immune to not being collective of this. And ask me how I know. It's because I ran a farm for 15 years and woke up one day and my keys to the office, my keys to the shop didn't fit none of the locks. And he was in financial trouble, and they come in there in the middle of the night, padlocked everything up, and I was without a job. And I was the farm manager. So that's always been impregnated in the back of my head, Matt, even to today. You're not immune to this crap. You can't, they will sell you out. You got to be smart through this. I'm gonna tell you this, my farm runs off of two things: assets and equity. It's called money management.
Yep.
Work on them two things right there, and that's what's happening now. And to people like John Deere, they've created this problem. They need to lay in the bed with it. What I think about doing all these mud deals and all this high dollar equipment going back into inventory every year, and it's sitting on their lot and they're eating this interest. They created this problem.
Yeah. Man, to be honest, I ain't got a problem with what they charge for equipment. Is it overpriced? Yeah, but it's my choice whether I buy new equipment
right.
or not. My problem is how much they charge for us to keep our old equipment
Yes.
running through the parts
Yes,
prices.
absolutely.
You know, you talk about that header you got right over there. We just got done working on ours, replacing all the finger holders on the center drum. $30 a piece for the little plastic T finger holder. $150 per box. Cost me $450 to replace just the finger holders on that header.
I'll tell you one better than that. We went yesterday, fuel filter stopped up on that gator right there. Little old paper filter, wasn't that long. It snapped on the end of an electric fuel pump. $54.
Probably didn't cost them 54 cents to make.
Yeah, it wasn't this long, a little paper filter.
Yeah.
$54. But you couldn't get around it. You couldn't do nothing different. You couldn't rig something to put on it.
No.
And that's ridiculous. But you know, that's what I was getting at. When all these big operators trade all this equipment in, people like me and Matt can't buy that kind of stuff. We can't go buy an X9, or we can't go buy, you know, 9RX or stuff like that. You know, and that's the thing is, what are we gonna do? You know?
I don't know. We both got completely different philosophies on agronomics and stuff, but we both put in about as cheap a crop as we can do this year. Well, Eric, I got to make tracks for West Tennessee, man. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you doing this.
You're more than welcome, Matt. I appreciate you coming. I appreciate your friendship, and you know, I look forward to it every year. And you know, we've sat here and talked about a lot of things, and you know, me and Matt are just alike. Even though we farm way away from each other, I mean, we try to operate the same way, think the same way, and that's what it's going to take to get through some of these times. You know, he made one statement that is very, very true about, you know, him coming over here and grinding these doppers, and that's $500 he could have saved. It don't sound like a lot, but it really is, because it's like I was telling him, we have cut out a lot of things that we do here normally. Like we've been to the lake one time this year. You know, we've sat at home all year. I mean, not went out to eat or nothing like that. I mean, it's, you don't realize that those little bitty things, they add up, and when you put it on a spreadsheet and get it in front of you, that's when you figure it out.
The less items you got in the expense column, better off you're going to be.
It's the same way we were talking about, you know, some of the chemicals we applied, and you know, I'll just use Terramar for instance, as a stress reliever. I used a ton of it last year, trying to mitigate some of that stress we had. But once I got the bill in last fall and saw how much it was costing, one tote was $10,000. And you're on a quart lake.
And when you don't get no rain, even Terramar ain't going to help you.
Yeah, and we cut that out this year. I've only applied 200 acres worth. We cut all that out. I mean, a lot of the other stuff we cut out, as far as, we don't cut our nutrient. Now, that's one I told Matt, we don't cut our fertility, but there's a lot of places you can cut, and that's what it's going to take to stay alive in these times. Just, you're going to have to be sharp. My wife's grandfather was one of the smartest businessmen there was, and he pushed a pencil 24/7, and I'm going to tell you, and Matt will vouch for this, y'all need to be putting some of this stuff on paper and running a pencil to it, because if it don't work on paper, I don't care how hard you try, it's not going to work out here in the real world.
Yeah. And I don't care what salesman says it works, unless you try it yourself. You know it works, you better not be applying it.
And things might work for me on my farm, they won't work on Matt's farm.
And vice
versa. That's just the way it is. It's not the chemical's fault, it's not the chemical company's fault. You know, it could have been an application rate, it could have been location, soil type, it could have been a million things. Don't bash these companies for stuff not working and stuff like that, guys. I mean, some of these companies spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on research and development and third-party trials, and I am very blessed that I get to be part of some of these third-party trials. I know Matt does too. That's how you know it works on your farm or it don't.
Yeah.
And you know, I advise anybody to do that. Run your own trials.
Yeah.
Matt does a lot of it. I do a lot of it. That's how you find out what works and what doesn't work. And don't write it off after 1 year. Matt does the same thing, replicates it. Replicate it 3 times, and then if it don't work, scrub it off.
And even if it does work that first year, replicate it again, because if it only works, if it only works 1 year out of 3, you still probably gonna lose money.
You're still losing. That's it. So yeah, it's all about money management right now. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, we're on a down cycle. Things will trend up at some point,
That's right.
but you got to survive until that point.
The pendulum will switch, but you got to survive through it. And
Yeah.
a lot, I'm gonna be honest with you, a lot of guys are not. There's gonna be a lot of farms sold out. There's gonna be a lot of guys, just like I told Matt, there's 2 here that've been farming 50-something years, and they finally said, look, I'm done. And they got out. They got out because things are so bad.
Yeah.
And pay attention to some of these people, some of these analysts that are running these numbers, guys, because just like that video I shared the other day with Mississippi State, he was a analytics for agriculture. If he tells you everything was in the red, everything's in the red.
Yeah.
Pay attention. I can't beat that into y'all enough.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we didn't solve all the world's problems, but I think we identified a lot of them.
Yeah, and man, I appreciate you a whole lot, man.
I thank you too, man.
You're more welcome. You know you can come here every year and I do them and get them done for you.
Yeah, I wish you good luck this fall, good harvest. I know you're going to have a better harvest than me. We wish you good luck, though.
I just want to get through this harvest and everybody have all their arms and all their legs and all their toes. That's all, because what people don't realize here is once harvest is over, that thing's still running over there.
Yeah.
And once we get done with harvest, we got 2 more months of hard work.
I think one thing we can both agree on, we both ready for that first frost. We tired this summer.
Yeah. Look, I'm soaking wet standing here.
Anyway, I appreciate it, Eric.
Yeah, Matt, you more. Thank you, buddy.